dignitaries present, stakeholders, captains of industry, all invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is with honor to welcome you tonight to this very special gala dinner hosted by His Excellency President William Ruto on the occasion of the African Trade Insurance Agency's annual general meeting. Tonight also marks a milestone moment in this institution's journey. 25 years of protecting trade, mobilizing investment, and strengthening Africa's economic resilience. For a quarter of a century, ATIDI has stood as a beacon of confidence for investors, governments, and business across the continent, turning risk into opportunity and vision into tangible growth. Tonight, we pause to celebrate the legacy and to look ahead of the next chapter of impact to come. We are honored to be joined this evening by ministers, ambassadors, members of the diplomatic corps, captains of industry, partners from across Africa and beyond, gathered here in Nairobi to mark a remarkable anniversary together. For context, we start off with a video that highlights ATIDI's journey. Also to recognize the presence of Mr. Manuel Moses, CEO ATIDI, who will also be making some remarks. But for now, let us have the video.
In a fast-changing world, risk is changing fast too. The time has come to rethink. As the lingering effect of COVID-19 and the conflict in Ukraine unfolds on African economies, new financial instruments are needed for such evolving risks. Africa's trade and financing gap must be closed too. Collaboration between the public and private sector will be vital to drive the supply of trade credit insurance for the continent. Accelerating developmental impact also remains top of the agenda and will require expertise, innovative thinking, and commitment to this mandate. Risk profiles are changing. Investor needs are changing. We are changing. Whilst we continue to deliver trade and investment insurance, we have also developed new financial solutions to help open up new areas of finance. Increasingly, product innovation is taking center stage. Our solutions to safeguard and bolster trade and investment have come to the fore. We now uniquely facilitate effective trade and investment delivery in Africa. Our evolution, our unique product suite, our increased relevance and commitment to Africa's development, all reflected in our new name, ATIDI, African Trade and Investment Development Insurance, and our new brand promise, Rethinking Risk, Enabling Finance. We are rethinking risk through innovative risk mitigation and financial interventions, and enabling finance by opening up new avenues and solutions for trade and investment on and for the continent. Enhancing growth potential for corporates, confidence for investors, and economic development for Africa. With our innovative solutions across trade credit and political risk insurance, and our work in highly structured transactions, including co-insurance, reinsurance, and guarantees. But what makes ATIDI unique? We are the truly holistic risk solution for Africa, with expertise developed over the last 20 years, unparalleled understanding of African markets, tailored solutions enabling us to guide the way Africa's risk is perceived, an innovation mindset with creativity, flexibility, and adaptability at our core, and a reputation for responsiveness driven by our multilateral status and strategic relationships across the public and private sectors, all combining to help us deliver a range of benefits for Africa and all our stakeholders. ATIDI supports the economic development of its member states with solutions including alternatives to sovereign guarantees as well as trade credit insurance, helping them to maintain sustainable national debt, aid inward investment through lowered financing costs, and stimulate private sector growth with increased lending. ATD inspires confidence for investors, helping them to tap into the African opportunity by de-risking investments and enhancing project security via preferential relationships with governments and decision-makers. ATD assists commercial banks to confidently expand their operations, providing a wide range of risk mitigation and solutions to streamline their operations, free up capital, and enhance their competitiveness. ATD helps exporters and importers to access and expand into new markets by protecting them against non-payment and aiding business growth through access to working capital on a credit basis. ATD helps to smoothen business operations and fuel growth potential for manufacturers and contractors, safeguarding them against payment challenges, contract cancellations, and affording flexibility in payment by assuming credit risk. And last but not least, ATD's product range and capacity offers insurers and brokers enhanced competitiveness, helping them to extend their product range and benefit from remuneration as part of our broker program. Ultimately, ATD operates to build confidence in trade and investment de-risking and delivery, to shape finance to unlock the growth potential of investments, and to reimagine the approach to risk in Africa and prevailing perceptions of the continent through our specialist solutions, helping us to ensure effective trade and investment delivery, enable the finance that stakeholders seek, and support the development and growth of the continent. ATD, African Trade and Investment Development Insurance, rethinking risk, enabling finance.
A clap for that video and also for ATD. With your kind permission, Your Excellency, allow me to now call on Mr. Manuel Moses, CEO ATD, to make some brief opening remarks. Can we welcome him with a warm clap, please? Welcome, sir.
Your Excellency, President William Ruto, John Badi, Minister of Finance, our Governor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, ministers from across the continent, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Allow me to wish you all a warm welcome to our annual general meeting and to this gala dinner. I want to start by expressing my sincere gratitude to Your Excellency President William Ruto for hosting us here at State House. This is a first for our organization. Thank you very much. I am personally overwhelmed by your unwavering support for our organization and in general African financial institutions. You have been a pillar of championing the AMFI institutions. Thank you again. Kenya has been hosting us since 2001 when we were formed and has hosted the annual general meeting in 2013 and in 2017 where Your Excellency actually opened our annual general meeting as Vice President then. So this is the second time you're opening another annual general meeting for ATD. Since you assumed office as president, you have not stopped supporting our institutions. You have actually given it even more momentum. We have seen you in action in all the forums, either at the African Union, at the United Nations, and any forum in TICAD, everywhere you are advocating for our institutions to say African financial institutions need to be supported, and you are leading from the front. I can testify that. Asante sana. More recently, since you've gotten a new burst of energy from my brother, Dr. Sidi Ulta, who is also a champion of African economic development. His CV is impeccable when we look at what he has done at Badea and before at ISEC and more recently at the African Development Bank. So we have two enormous champions leading African institutions. So thank you again, Dr. Sidi. Dr. Sidi has come with a very brilliant idea. I don't know why we did not think of it before. It was always in our sight. We did not connect it. He realized that what Africa lacks is not capital. What Africa lacks is not more money, but the money is actually here. And he created this vision, which he is now calling NAFAD. NAFAD has always been with us in plain sight, but we could not see it. But through his vision, he has managed to connect it and say, if we look at our investments, our savings sitting in our banks, in our asset managers, in our pension funds, there is enough, about $4 trillion of money in the continent that is sitting idle. And his idea under NAFAD is to connect that money to investable opportunities. And that's the promise of NAFAD. So thank you, Dr. Sidi, for that brilliant vision. And Atidi will be with you as we execute on that. Why did we choose Atidi? I think the model of Atidi is very simple. It's basically, it manages to leverage money, mobilize capital at scale. Every dollar of capital put in Atidi, we are able to multiply 10 times, thanks to partners in this room who are our reinsurers, who help us to leverage every dollar 10 times. So thanks again to the reinsurers in the room for supporting us, and we want your support as we execute on this NAFAD vision. Now, under the NAFAD, we hope that we will be able to get the mobilization of $400 billion. $400 billion in the $4 trillion I mentioned is nothing. So if we can connect with our instruments, giving guarantees to the pension funds, to the savings accounts, through our guarantees, we can tap into that $400 billion we are looking for. It's really 4 or 5% of the $4 trillion that is already sitting here. Mr. President, you have been our champion for many years. At the recent France Africa Forward Summit, we saw the announcements. You singularly took our message and said, Atidi, President Macron, President Sidi, to tell the G7 and say, we have identified our Pan-African Guarantee Platform. Africa should not be treated as an unequal, but we are coming here not to beg, but to say, we have a vehicle, can you back our vehicle, and we can trade as equals. And the G7, and President Macron also endorsed that. Thank you again, President. What has been Atidi doing in Kenya? So why is Atidi important? I know you probably know already, Mr. President, but I wanted the rest of the audience to know our history with Kenya. Since 2000, Kenya has been our gracious host. We have been hosted by Kenya Re, and I think the president of Kenya Re is here somewhere. Thank you for hosting us for 26 years and continue to host us. They have been very gracious, and Kenya has been leading this institution, shepherding it until we are now a $10 billion company. So thank you to Kenya. I'll mention a few projects that we've done in Kenya. You might know about the largest wind project in Africa, Lake Turkana Wind Power. You would know that Atidi ensured it. You might also know about the second largest wind project in Africa, which is the Kipeto project. Also Atidi enabled it. These are the type of things that we do in Kenya. If we add all our renewable energy projects in Kenya, they add up to 580 megawatts. This is the kind of intervention we're doing in just clean energy. And we are proud that Kenya is a leading example of renewable energy. We also were with you when Safaricom was going to Ethiopia. We backed Safaricom together with our brothers from Nexi, I hope they're in this room, to say how can Safaricom be de-risked to go into Ethiopia at a time when it was very difficult. There was conflict going on in Ethiopia. Atidi was there with you. We are also with you here in Kenya. When you look at all your M-Pesa transactions, behind it there's an Atidi guarantee that is backing the M-Pesa. This is the kind of things that we are doing in country. We are also with you on the affordable housing. Advance payment guarantees that you are giving to your contractors need a counter guarantee to give the government the comfort that if the contractor does not pay, the government is safe. We are giving our guarantees to support the affordable housing program. Again, if we add all our interventions since 2000, all our interventions in Kenya, they total 1 trillion shillings. Amazing. or $8 billion. So this is really what we are doing in Kenya, and we want to do more. Under NAFAD, we will do more. We'll be here for Kenya today. We'll be here for Kenya tomorrow. We want to support you. We want to support the idea of the infrastructure fund that you have inaugurated. In fact, I was here when you signed the bill. So thank you. We have a role to play in that under NAFAD. So really, I can go on and on and on and say, Kenya is our host. Kenya will always be our host. We are here for you, and we want to be partners to make sure that we economically empower the people of Kenya and of Africa. Long live Kenya. Thank you very much. Mr. President, if you were to give us a bill of all you have done, I don't know how we could pay you.
Another round of applause for Mr. Manuel Moses, CEO Atidi. With your permission, Your Excellency, allow me to now call on Professor Kelly Moore Kingsley, Chair of the Board of Directors Atidi, to make his remarks. Let me also call on Emmanuel Mwamba, who will help with a brief interpretation into French. I understand we have quite a number of Francophone speakers. Therefore, Emmanuel, please come so that you'll summarize the speech after he has spoken. Welcome, sir.
You know, after Manuel, I always have to adjust the microphone in size because he adjusts it in height. Your Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, I took time to practice so that I don't distort the name. President of the Republic of Kenya, distinguished shareholders, representatives of member states and institutional shareholders, development partners, members of diplomatic corps, members of the board of directors of Atidi, our chief executive officer, Mr. Manuel, and the management team of Atidi, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Good evening once more. On behalf of the board of directors, it is my great honor and privilege to welcome you to Nairobi for this gala dinner, making the opening of our 26th annual general meeting. Allow me first and foremost to express our deepest gratitude once more to His Excellency for hosting us graciously this evening in this distinguished setting. Your Excellency, your generosity that Manuel has not stopped emphasizing reflects far more than hospitality. It is a powerful affirmation of Kenya's enduring commitment to regional cooperation, African institutions, and shared prosperity of our continent. As one of Atidi's founding member states and gracious host since inception, Kenya has remained a steadfast partner, demonstrating how visionary leadership and strong institutions can mobilize investment, strengthen resilience, and accelerate sustainable development. For this unwavering partnership, we extend our sincere appreciation once more. We are equally grateful to the government and the people of Kenya for their warm welcome and exceptional hospitality throughout this important week in Atidi's journey. Ladies and gentlemen, this evening is much more than the opening of an annual general meeting. It is a celebration of partnership, a celebration of trust. And above all, we celebrate the celebration of a shared belief in Africa's limitless potential. We are privileged to be joined by representatives from member states this evening, shareholders, development finance institutions, and diplomatic community. Private investors and strategic partners are not left out, whose collective commitment has helped shape Atidi into one of Africa's most respected mutual financial institutions. As we prepare for our formal deliberation in the coming days, tonight offers a valuable opportunity to strengthen relationships, reflect on how far we have come, and renew our collective commitments to Africa's future. This year carries particular significance as Atidi celebrates 25 years, a quarter of a century of impact. It is a moment to honor the vision of our founders, celebrate the confidence of our shareholders and partners, and recognize the dedication of everyone who has contributed to this remarkable journey. Over the past quarter century, Atidi has evolved from a bold African vision, into a globally respected institution that has facilitated billions of dollars in trade and investments, strengthened investor confidence, and contributed meaningfully to economic transformation across member states. If capital is the engine of development, confidence is the fuel. That is where ATIDI has found its unique purpose. We do not merely mitigate risk, we create confidence. And where confidence grows, investors follow. Where investors flow, economies flourish. And where economies flourish, lives are transformed. This is the unique value that ATIDI brings to Africa and to the global investment community. The impact of this work is increasingly recognized beyond our continent. We were honored that His Excellency President William Ruto highlighted ATIDI at the G7 summit, like Manuel has emphasized, and that our institution was also recognized at the G7 Leader Declaration on Mutually Beneficial International Partnership. Thank you, Your Excellency. This recognition belongs not only to ATIDI, but to Africa itself. It demonstrates that African institutions are increasingly shaping global conversations on investments, resilience, and sustainable development. While we are proud of this recognition, we remain even more conscious of the responsibilities it places upon us. As an African proverb reminds us, the one who climbs a good tree always gets a push. Our partners have helped us climb. It is now our responsibility to reach even higher heights. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa stands today at one of the most promising moments of its history. Across infrastructure, energy, agriculture, manufacturing, digital innovation, trade and industrialization, the foundations of long-term prosperity are being laid. Yet ambition alone does not attract investments. Confidence does. Institutions do, and partnerships do. That is precisely where ATIDI continues to make its greatest contribution. By reducing risk, strengthening investor confidence, and mobilizing private capital, we help transform promising ideas into bankable projects, strategic investments, and lasting development. Over the coming days, our discussions will focus on how we can deepen this impact and ensure that ATIDI remains at the forefront of Africa's economic transformation. I am confident that the decisions we take during this annual general meeting will strengthen our institution and reinforce our contribution to the prosperity of our member states. Before I conclude I must, allow me to express my sincere appreciation to our shareholders, development partners, clients, and stakeholders for their continued confidence and support. I also wish to recognize my fellow board members, our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Manuel, and the entire ATIDI team, whose professionalism, dedication, and commitment continue to advance our mission. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a saying that great institutions are built by chance. They are built by shared purpose. Tonight we celebrate that shared purpose. We celebrate partnership. We celebrate trust. We celebrate Africa's resilience. But above all, we celebrate Africa's future. Your Excellency, thank you once again for your gracious hospitality, and to the people of Kenya. May I wish you all a memorable evening, fruitful deliberations, and highly successful 2026 General Assembly. God bless you all.
Chers francophones, nous allons faire un résumé du discours qui a été fait ici. Le conférencier a pu s'apaisantir du protocole déjà établi, en commençant par son Excellence, Monsieur le Président du Kenya, son Excellence Samuel Ruto. Et puis il a pu remercier, il a dit au nom du conseil d'administration, il a passé ses remerciements, d'abord pour être invité ici, mais aussi pour ce que le Kenya a été durant les ans, parce que le Kenya dirige ses parcours des investissements africains de manière durable. Il y a ici des remerciements pour des parties prenantes, et des membres du développement, les représentants gouvernementaux ainsi que tous les clients. ATIDI célèbre son jubilé d'argent, c'est-à-dire 25 ans, un quart de son jubilé d'argent. Et il continue à porter du capital pour des pays africains. Et parmi les grands atouts que Atidi a, c'est la confiance. Parce que si les gens ont la confiance, ils peuvent investir. Quand ils investissent, ils peuvent être autonomisés. Et quand les gens sont autonomisés, ils peuvent devenir prospères. Deuxièmement, il y a eu des remerciements, une fois de plus, à son Excellence, Monsieur le Président de la République du Kenya, pour son plaidoyer dans la réunion de Africa Forward Summit. Il a dû parler des investissements africains par des Africains. Et de cela, il a pu mentionner Atidi comme l'un des institutions importantes. Et troisièmement, il y a eu des remerciements pour des partenariats stratégiques et ainsi que tous les parties prenantes, les conseils d'administration d'Atidi et des derniers remerciements une fois de plus à son Excellence, Monsieur le Président du Kenya. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur. Your Excellency, with your permission, it is now my pleasure to invite Dr. Sidi Olta, President of the Africa Development Bank, AFDB. Why don't we welcome him with a warm, warm clap? Welcome, sir.
Good evening. Your Excellency, Dr. William Samuel Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, honorable ministers, senior government officials, member of the diplomatic corps, my dear brother Moses Manuel, CEO of ATD, my dear brother Tadesse, President of TDB, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor for me to join you tonight as we celebrate the 25th anniversary of ATD. This is a remarkable milestone that reflects a quarter century of commitment to strengthening Africa's resilience, reducing investment risk, and mobilizing capital for the continent's development. Over the past 25 years, ATD has grown into one of Africa's most important financial institutions, helping to unlock investment, support trade, and reinforce confidence in African market. This is an opportunity for me to thank President William Ruto, not only for hosting ATD, but also for championing the new African Financial Architecture for Development, NAFAD. Excellency, Mr. President, with your friend President Emmanuel Macron of France, you helped to elevate this initiative onto the global stage. First here in Nairobi, during the Africa Forward Summit last May, and more recently in Evian at the G7 Summit. We are grateful, President. Let me also thank Your Excellency for your strong support for the new ATD. You are leading by example. Your decision to increase your participation in the capital of ATD is a great testimony of your leadership and your support to the new ATD 2.0. Your leadership also has given this initiative decisive political momentum and unprecedented international visibility. It has shifted the conversation from how much Africa should be financed to how Africa should finance its own transformation. So thank you, Mr. President. The challenge before us is not a lack of capital or opportunities, but a persistent mispricing of the African risk. And this is leading to excessive cost of capital in the continent. This is why the African Development Bank Group is evolving from a traditional project financier to a catalyst for markets. We want to be the solution bank for the Africa we want. Excellency Mr. President Ruto, Kenya has once again demonstrated leadership, not only in advancing the NAFAD agenda, but also as the host country of a key shareholders of ATD. You are the largest non-institutional shareholder of ATD. This exemplifies an Africa that is strengthening its own institutions to better mobilize capital for its own development. Under the new African Financial Architecture for Development, NAFAD, our ambition is clear: to unlock Africa's capital by combining domestic and international resources while strengthening our financial sovereignty and our financial institutions. Within this architecture, ATD plays an indispensable role. The African Development Bank Group has recently decided to increase its participation in the capital of ATD 5-fold. Becoming the largest institutional shareholder of ATD. But not only that, we are also mobilizing our partners to provide support to African countries who are not yet members of ATD to join ATD and to help them to pay for their participation in the capital of ATD. The African Development Fund also will provide resources to low-income African countries to join ATD. Together with ATD and through guarantee and blended finance, we are demonstrating that every dollar of public finance can mobilize significantly more private capital for infrastructure. $1 can make $10. Our objective is very simple: to ensure that African saving finance African growth, and that Africa can attract institutional investors from all over the world. This is how we will create jobs, accelerate industrial transformation, and build a more prosperous, resilient, and financially sovereign Africa. I thank you.
With your permission, Your Excellency, allow me to now call on the Cabinet Secretary for Treasury and National Planning, Honorable FCPA John Mbadi. A clap for him. He'll in turn invite His Excellency, the President. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto, Dr. Sidi, the President of African Development Bank, Mr. Admasu Tadese of TDB, and of course, the convener of this meeting, the actual convener of this meeting, of this gathering, Mr. Manuel Moses, the CEO of ATD, honorable members, honorable ministers of finance from ATD member states, the government representatives of the Republic of Kenya, and members of the diplomatic community, shareholders, the board of directors of ATD, led by the chairperson or the chairman, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Your Excellency, allow me to extend a special welcome to our distinguished delegates who have traveled from across Africa and the globe to join us for this important occasion. We are deeply honored by your presence and grateful that you have taken the time to be with us as Kenya hosts this significant gathering. That is the 26th Annual General Meeting of the African Trade and Investment Development Insurance. The Government of Kenya sincerely thank our member states, shareholders, and Board of ATIDI for giving us the opportunity to host the 26th AGM of ATIDI. This 26th Annual General Meeting is particularly significant as it coincides with an important milestone in the ATIDI's journey, that is 25 years of partnership, growth, and service to the African continent. Ladies and gentlemen, over the past 25 years, ATIDI has evolved into Africa's leading provider of trade, investment, and credit risk insurance, spanning 24 member states and 13 institutional shareholders, while facilitating investments valued at over $93 billion across the continent. Indeed, ATIDI has become a symbol of what African countries can achieve when they work together with a common purpose and shared ambition. And this Silver Jubilee therefore gives us an opportunity not only to celebrate institutional progress, but also to reflect on the partnership, trust, and collective commitment that have sustained ATIDI's journey over the years. Kenya takes great pride in being a founding member state of ATIDI and the host of its headquarters here in Nairobi, which I am sure His Excellency the President will speak to in more detail. We remain committed to supporting the institution's continued growth and its important mission of advancing trade and investment across Africa. Today is not about presentations or reports or formal deliberation. Tonight is about celebrating how far we have come together, reconnecting with colleagues and friends, strengthening partnership, and appreciating the shared vision that continues to unite us as member states and shareholders of ATIDI. And tonight also provides us with an opportunity to share with you a taste of what Kenya is, our warmth, hospitality, culture, and vibrant spirit. So I don't want to go beyond that. I just want to say, ladies and gentlemen, that the rest of the discussion and engagement will start officially tomorrow. And I want to thank His Excellency the President for hosting this dinner and to come together and reflect as partners and as friends. Allow me at this juncture, without taking much more time, to now take this opportunity to ask us to put our hands together and welcome the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency President William Ruto. If possible, we could rise as we welcome His Excellency the President.
Thank you very much. Please, let's take our seats. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome you to Nairobi for the 26th Annual General Meeting of the Africa Trade and Investment Development Insurance. Your presence here as member states, shareholders, development partners, and private sector leaders reflect our shared conviction that Africa's prosperity will depend on the strength of its own institutions and the depth of our partnership. 25 years ago, Kenya joined fellow COMESA member states to establish what was then the Africa Trade Insurance Agency. It was founded on a simple belief that Africa deserved institutions capable of transforming risk into opportunity and attracting investment on terms that reflect our true potential rather than outdated perceptions.
Today, that belief stands vindicated. ATIDI has become Africa's premier institution, multilateral trade and investment insurer, supporting more than $93 billion in trade and investment, while holding investment grade A ratings from both Standard & Poor's and Moody's. Congratulations, ATIDI. Yet, we gather at an extraordinary moment. The global economy is reordering. Trade is being reconfigured. Geopolitics is fragmenting, and development finance is under tremendous strain. These pressures are not perceptions, they are real. But they also present Africa with an unprecedented opportunity to redefine its place in the global financial system. For years, we have championed a fairer global financial architecture, one that stops mispricing Africa and African risk and making our capital needlessly expensive. That call remains right. I have been, as they have said, to every forum and every meeting, and I have stated our position unequivocally that we do not want a system that favors us. We want a system that treats all of us equally. And that is not too much to ask. But Africa cannot wait for reform from elsewhere. While the world debates reform, Africa must build. We must complement the reform of the global financial architecture by building a stronger African financial architecture, one that mobilizes African capital, mitigates African risk, and finances Africa's development on Africa's terms. The evidence is compelling. Africa holds nearly $4 trillion in long-term domestic savings through pension funds, insurance assets, and central bank reserves. Yet the continent faces an annual financial gap of more than $400 billion. We attract barely 1% of global institutional investment and only 4% of foreign direct investment. Even today, African countries borrow at rates between 200 and 400 basis points above their fundamentals and where the fundamentals justify. This paradox reveals a simple truth. Africa does not suffer from a shortage of capital, and that has been said by both the CEO of ATIDI and my good friend Sidi. We do not suffer from a shortage of capital. And I say so even when I specifically talk about our own country, Kenya. When I came into office, I championed and I explained to the people of Kenya why savings is important. In our National Social Security Fund, we had 312 billion Kenya shillings saved in 60 years. But in just 2 years, we have moved it from 312 to 680 billion. By next year, we will triple what we have saved in 60 years in 3.5 years. What does that mean? It means there is no shortage of capital. It is us getting organized and getting the resources we have organized and using it for our own development. So when we say there is no shortage of capital in our continent, that statement is very, very true. From my own experience, in just 3 years, I have seen how we can mobilize domestic resources. It is easy. Actually, it's not easy. It is difficult to go borrowing money from people. They subject you to all manner of things. You know, do this, go and pass this law. How about those things, what are those ones called? You go and pass the sexuality laws, go and do this, go and do this. You know, things that have nothing to do with the money you're looking for. But, of course, you are subjected to such if you refuse to do what you have to do. Let me give another explanation. We decided as Kenyans that we are going to get rid of slums. We're going to work towards getting rid of slums. We're going to build a big portfolio of a housing program. It's been in our books for many years. We tried to borrow money from different places to implement the program, and it was not possible. It was not tenable. It was not practical. It was not sustainable. But we decided that we are going to put together a housing fund, and we are going to pay 1.5% of our incomes to that fund, and employers would do the same. Today, just in 3 years, we have built a portfolio of $9.3 billion. How much? $9.3 billion. That is 1.2 trillion Kenya shillings. Our own resources, Kenyan resources. So if there was any doubt in anybody's mind of our capacity to raise domestic resources and for us to drive our development on our terms, please erase that doubt. And that is why this evening is very significant to me. When we had the Africa Forward Summit here last month, we made a conscious decision as leaders of this continent that we are going to rethink how we finance our development. We're going to work with partners, and we are immensely grateful for the World Bank, the IMF, IBRD, and all the other partners that have worked with us. They have walked this journey with us. But they have done so much. But there is space for us to do more ourselves. And we cannot delegate what we can do for ourselves for others to do for us. It is not fair to ourselves, it is not fair to them. We must do what we must do. And we made a very conscious decision and said, we must stop the blame game. We must stop blaming others for our own underdevelopment. And I remember one head of state saying that nobody owes us development. We owe it to ourselves. Development is first and foremost our responsibility as leaders in this continent. African development is first and foremost our responsibility. And we must take charge of it. It is easy to blame other people, especially for failures that have nothing to do with them, but everything to do with us. So we decided that we are going to do, that we took a position, which you remember, my good brother Sid, I put that position very squarely at the G7, that as a continent, we no longer want relationships that are based on dependency. No. We want relationships that recognize sovereign equality. Number two, we said we do not want relationships built on assistance or charity. We want relationships that are built on partnerships that are mutually beneficial. And number three, we said we are going to reject any engagements that are built on exporting African raw materials and extraction, that we are going to work on investments that create win-win outcomes for investors and for ourselves, and that is built around value addition and value creation and creation of jobs right here in our soil. Those three are the irreducible minimum for us and our engagement with partners and friends going into the future. But that also places responsibility on us, that we must do our part of the bargain. And that is why I must commend in a very special way the President of the Africa Development Bank, my friend Olta. Let us clap for this man. I mean, he's a, breath of fresh air. Because when he came on board, he removed the old rivalries amongst our African multilateral institutions, financial institutions. There was an unhealthy competition between, Africa Development Bank, Afri-Exim Bank, Trade and Development. A competition that was not necessary. It is better for them working together. And you remember very well, we took a position at the Africa Union and said, we are going to work with all our financial institutions, African multilateral financial institutions. And we took a decision at the Africa Union that we are going to endorse and support and contribute to these institutions, so that because they understand our situation, they understand our development, they know us better, they work with us from our continent. Some other institutions, you can forgive them. They are in New York They are in Paris, they're in Washington, and they can have all manner of perceptions, you know. For example, the other day there was a problem of Ebola in DRC, and everybody canceled meetings all over the place because some people don't understand that there is almost 4,000 kilometers from Kenya to DRC. So these are some of the perceptions that inform this space. And I am very happy that this evening, in this annual general meeting dinner for the TD, we have the presence of Africa Development Bank, Trade and Development Bank, Afri-Exim, I'm sure are represented, and all the other institutions, Africa Finance Corporation, they were here the other day. And we have taken the position as a continent that we are going to support these institutions. Endorse them and also put our resources behind them, because that is how they will gather the legitimacy, they will get the financial muscle to be able to drive and mobilize our own development. This understanding drives Kenya's leadership of the new African financial architecture for development. My good brother Alta, you can count on Kenya 100%. We believe in the new African financial architecture for development. It is going to be the solution for our development. And we are matching what we are saying in Kenya with what we are doing. We are mobilizing our own savings. As I've just told you, we are going to triple our savings in the next 3 years. We are mobilizing our own resources. The National Infrastructure Fund, which we enacted the law in the last, I think, 3 months, in March. By end of this week, we will have mobilized 300 billion Kenya shillings into the National Infrastructure Fund. That is roughly about $2.3 billion. And it was very sweet news when I heard you guys say that for every dollar, you can help us mobilize $10. So we are in good space. I had told the citizens of my great country that we have a 5 trillion program. And they were looking at me and wondering how that was going to be possible. You've heard this gentleman talk here. We are already at 300 billion Kenya shillings. If you multiply that by 10, that is 3 trillion. So we are just waiting for another 2 trillion and we can implement all our programs. That is how it works, good people. That is how it works. Ndio mimi nawaambia saa zingine tutumie akili. You know, for those of us who understand that language. To move Africa from a recipient of global capital to a mobilizer of its own, from fragmented institutions to coordinated strength, and from dependence on external risk assessment to African institutions capable of pricing African opportunities correctly. That is the mission. That is what NAFAD, that is what the new architecture is going to do for us in this continent. At the heart of this vision is the Alliance of African Multilateral Financial Institutions. Through this alliance, the Africa Development Bank Group, Africa Export-Import Bank, Africa Finance Corporation, Africa Trade and Investment Development Insurance, Trade and Development Bank Group, Africa Reinsurance Corporation, ZEP Re, or what was formerly PTA Insurance Company, Shelter Afrique Development Bank, East African Development Bank, Africa Solidarity Bank, Fund for Export Development in Africa, West African Development Bank, and Regional Maritime Development Bank can coordinate their balance sheets, share risk, and mobilize capital at continental scale. Good people, please don't let us down. Don't let us down. Because this is our moment, And I am very happy that I am in this space as a leader in Kenya and in this continent when we have leaders in our financial institutions that are as aligned as these good people who lead this institution. I am pleased to announce that today, in the Cabinet, the Government of Kenya approved the establishment of the Secretariat of the Alliance for African Multilateral Institutions here in Nairobi. I did commit that we were going to provide space for a secretariat for the alliance so that we can create more muscle and strength by being coordinated. Within this alliance, ATIDI occupies a uniquely strategic place. Investment follows confidence, and confidence follows credible risk mitigation. For 25 years, ATIDI has demonstrated that African institutions can transform risk into opportunity. Yet Africa still faces a guarantee and insurance gap of up to $50 billion every year. One of the greatest barriers to unlocking private investment in infrastructure, energy, industry, agriculture, and trade. Every dollar invested in our guarantee architecture has the potential to mobilize $10 more in private capital. That is why I call for the accelerated recapitalization of ATIDI. Our ambition should be to build ATIDI into a continental guarantee institution with a capital base of $2 billion, supported by a capital framework capable of delivering guarantee capacity that will go all the way to $10 billion annually. And I want to commend the Africa Development Bank Group. After the meeting we had here of Africa Forward last month, my good friend Sidi here went to the board, and you just heard from him, the board of Africa Development Bank approved to increase their shareholding in ATIDI 5 times. From 3% to 14%. Now, Africa Development Bank becomes the largest shareholder of ATIDI. Kenya was the largest shareholder until the other day. I would have been unhappy that we have been overtaken. But I am happy that we have more money to seek guarantee for our development. So congratulations, Africa Development Bank. What we will do, however, is that Kenya will continue to invest our own resources also in ATIDI to support the journey to ATIDI having $2 billion of their capital for them to be able to undertake the mandate that they have. Today, I invite every member state represented here to join Kenya in launching the Nairobi Capital Compact on Africa economic sovereignty. The compact rests on 5 commitments: to progressively recapitalize ATIDI, to strengthen the alliance of African multilateral financial institutions, to mobilize Africa's domestic capital, to expand our guarantee and risk-sharing capacity, and number 5, to build globally competitive African multilateral financial institutions. This is an invitation to governments, institutional investors, and development partners alike to finance Africa's transformation on the correct terms. Kenya's confidence is grounded in experience. Since its inception, ATIDI has supported more than $7 billion in investment across Kenya's energy, transport, manufacturing, agriculture, and trade sectors. In the past 2 years alone, it has facilitated $960 million in new investment. Projects such as Menengai Geothermal, Lake Turkana Wind Power, and Kipeto Wind Farm demonstrate what effective risk mitigation makes possible. Our bottom-up economic transformation agenda requires investment on a scale that public resources alone cannot provide. Private capital must therefore become our partner. Strengthening ATIDI is not only in Africa's interest, it is firmly in Kenya's national interest. Kenya will lead from the front. Accordingly, I announce today our intention as we go into the future, as I did in our last meeting, Kenya's capital participation in ATIDI progressively to increase with an initial $25 million. We will continue to increase until we arrive at $65 million. To demonstrate that commitment, we will continue positioning Nairobi as Africa's premier financial and development hub. In support of that vision, we prepared to provide strategic institutional support, including the allocation of land. This evening, I have a title here, issued by the government of Kenya to facilitate the establishment and expansion of the headquarters and regional offices of African multilateral financial institutions, specifically to ATIDI. And I want to present the title to my good friend.
Thank you.
Makofi ajaye kabisa. Let's give a warm clap for that.
Thank you, President. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, let's take our seats. This is a 2-acre piece of land in Upper Hill, valued at $8 million. Our predecessors secured Africa's political independence. Our generation must now secure Africa's economic sovereignty. That sovereignty will not be won through declarations. It will be won by building trusted institutions, by mobilizing our own capital first, by crowding in investment from global markets, by pricing Africa's risk correctly, and by financing our development competitively. Let Nairobi be remembered as the city where Africa chose implementation over advocacy, where fragmented balance sheets became a collective financial strength, and where our continent took another decisive step towards economic sovereignty. My good friends, I wish you well. My very best wishes. I am very, very proud of this evening because finally we are beginning to make the right decisions. Bold, decisive, focused, and right. So thank you very much. Enjoy your dinner. And unfortunately, I will not be able to attend the meeting tomorrow. I have explained my deputy will be there because I have a family matter to attend to. So asante sana, welcome to Nairobi again, and my very best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, before you leave, Your Excellency, sir. Your Excellency, there is a gift for you from Atidi. Let's take our seats, please. Kindly, let's take our seats. Allow me to invite the chair and the CEO to present the gift to you. Maybe they had an inkling that they will get a piece of land, so they came prepared. And they seem to be ready to give you something just as a token to appreciate you. Why don't we also just put our hands together as the gift is, please come on stage so that we have a good picture. Your Excellency, perhaps if you can be in the middle. Okay. Yes, that's perfect for the pictures. Wonderful. Another clap. His Excellency has proved that he has put his money where his mouth is. A wonderful reflection of the confidence that he has in Atidi. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. At this point in time, we'll now have dinner served. Soup will be served on all the tables, so please remain seated. It'll be served where you're seated after.
Are you out of data? Muthui Solutions Hub brings you amazing data deals, tunukiwa, minutes and SMS deals purchased with or without Okoa Jahazi. To get these deals, pay exact amount to till number 6964518. For more enquiries, reach our 24/7 support at 0719 289 675.